Right now you're hearing music from my 16-bit Ableton Live Pack. This is an Ableton Live Pack made up of over 100 instruments created with the Sega Genesis sound chip, the YM2612, which is an FM synthesizer chip that has some incredible sounds and really what made the Sega Genesis and the Sega Mega Drive such a classic sounding instrument of the 16-bit era. The music you hear right now was made entirely with that pack, aside from the drums. You can get this pack from my site, brianfunk.com/store. It's a really fun collection of sounds that'll give you a nice blast of nostalgia in your music. On today's show, I have Vasja Veber, who is the co-founder of Viberate. Viberate gives artists, venues, festivals, record labels a lot of analytics that they can use to make wise decisions in their music. I think it's a really cool product, and that's why I wanted Vasja on the show to tell us about it, because it's kind of tough to figure out what's actually going on in your music. And Vasja is offering a 20% off discount to listeners of the show if you use the code BRIAN20, BRIAN20. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Music Production Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Funk. On today's show, I have Vasja Veber, and he is the co-founder of Viberate, which is an analytics tool you can have online for your music to track your progress, your songs, and your development as an artist. I think it's a really powerful tool to give you some insight on what's actually happening with your music, because that can be a hard thing to tell. I mean, we might get like views on SoundCloud and listens on SoundCloud, views on YouTube and things, but what does that all mean? And Viberate is a service that can help us figure that out. And Vasja has got a lot of experience in the music industry, so I'm very excited to talk to him. So welcome to the show, Vasja.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to stop and talk. It's good to have you. So this whole product, this whole system of Viberate is kind of the work of a lot of experience and, as you said before we started talking, a bit of a bumpy road. Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about your background in the industry, what you've been up to, and how you came up with this and how this all led to Viberate, which we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting path, and I think that it's gonna get even more interesting. But yeah, there are three co-founders, and our background is in music. So one of us is actually a world famous DJ. He's one of the best techno DJs in the world, and right now a top techno producer on Beatport. His name is UMEK. And the other two, so myself and my partner, have been managing him for the last a little over 10 years. And during that time, we invested a lot of money into his career in terms of advertising, PR, all kinds of campaigns. And we found out that it's impossible to see in real time how those investments reflect his online popularity, his popularity in general. Gigs were coming in, people were buying his music, but there was it was hard to figure out the correlation between advertising and popularity. And it was also hard to benchmark him, so to compare him with other similar artists. So we created a simple service. It was 6 or 7 years ago, a simple service that was called topdjs.com. This was still very early, so we even included MySpace back then. So it was a very long time ago. And so yeah, we started with just measuring how many followers DJs were getting on their channels in a day, in a week, in a month. And we started with 1,000 DJs that we entered ourselves. And then we opened up the database, so anyone could log in. They could add themselves if they were artists, or their fans could add them. And we ended up with 30,000 user-generated profiles. So the industry really picked it up. And yeah, we said it's probably we're up to something here. So we decided to spread our wings, to go away from just being exclusively electronic music service, and to actually find data scientists to help us create additional measurements, just going away from just measuring how many likes or followers someone was getting across different channels. We managed to raise $1 million in seed financing, which enabled us to prepare an MVP, to hire an additional team, to fill our database. So we went above 30,000. I think that we came up to 70,000 artists that before I moved to Silicon Valley for 4 months. Because we said, okay, we're a startup. That's the place to be. It's not Eastern Europe. Yeah, my wife and I packed our bags and we moved to San Jose for 4 months, trying to pitch Silicon Valley investors to fund our Series A round. But we crashed and burned because we only had an MVP. It was way too soon. We were pre-revenue. We were some weird company from Slovenia. No one heard about our country. And yeah, so after 4 months, we came back home. And the problem was that not only we were too early, we came there and we didn't have any connections. So we were just like strangers and crashing a party. We felt like this. And no one was answering our emails or picking up our calls. So what we did is we decided to just go to VC offices unannounced. We're just crashing offices. We're driving down Palo Alto, looking for VCs that were investing in music. It was easy to do that. You just looked on Crunchbase and see who invested in similar companies, and we just went there. We just knocked on the door, crashed the office, said, "Hey, we're Viberate. Here's our pitch." It was super weird at the beginning, but we figured out that they really appreciated the hustle. They said that this is a breath of fresh air because usually Silicon Valley companies are. One of them said that they're spoiled. They're looking for people who could do them at least three good intros before they ask for a meeting, and we just slammed into their offices and said hi. So it was an interesting lesson in raising funds. But after that, we came back home. We almost went bankrupt, but one of our angel investors showed a really high level of support and trust into the team. When even we lost all hope, he said, "Okay, I believe in you guys. Here's some additional money. Go and get it." So it was in 2017. It was the height of the ICO hype, the crypto hype. And we figure out that if we issue our own cryptocurrency, we can use this to reward contributors. Like I said, the database is crowdsourced, so anyone could add new artists into the database, but they didn't get anything in return. So we figure out if we create our own token, that people would, instead of mining it, they would get it if they help us build a database, that we can grow faster. Another thing was that it was easy to raise money that way. So we raised $10.7 million. It was a crowd sale, and we reached the hard cap in 4 minutes and 42 seconds. That's a lot of money for under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And because we introduced this whole crypto economics into our model, we managed to grow really, really fast. So now we have 500,000 unique artist profiles in our database. We have over 150,000 venue profiles, 5,000 festivals, a couple tens of thousands of labels. I don't know the exact number because we're still working on that part. And on the usual day, which hasn't been since March. So if you take the pandemic out of the account, we were featuring around 500,000 of music events on a platform.
Wow.
And yeah, so now I'm usually I'm undecisive whether to use like that we're like IMDb for the music industry or Google Analytics, but we do analytics of artists. So each artist has their own dashboard with a bunch of KPIs that are easy to understand, and we calculate those metrics from roughly 1 billion of data points that we analyze each day. And we create all kinds of popularity charts. We analyze streaming services. We analyze social media, and we don't only count how many followers an artist has. So we also look into how that audience is engaging with the content that artist is putting online, because this is something that counts. Getting fake followers is really easy nowadays. You just swipe your credit card and you get a million of fake Twitter followers. You're going to appear big, but those followers aren't going to do anything with the content you're putting online. So this is usually a crappy strategy, if you ask me. So yeah, this is what we do.
Wow, that's some amazing success too. You know, like you said,
Yeah,
raising all that
thanks.
money, and I think it's pretty cool that you guys persevered so long, even when you kind of hit those low points. I guess that's like that's just the common thing in the music industry, whether you're the artist, whether you're the promoter, what at the venue. There's always that struggle, like that kind of like it's so difficult to
It
make it
is.
in the industry. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier. Even down the line, we're struggling each day. So I usually joke around that we launched our platform as an analytics platform 2 months ago, and I usually joke that we picked the worst time in human history to launch a music service. Events are banned all over
Yeah.
the globe, and promoters are going bankrupt, and we're just launching a service that's targeted towards that audience that's not struggling just to survive. But yeah, I mean, here we are. So maybe when this is over, it's gonna get better. I believe it's gonna get better.
Well, I'm sure, you know, yeah, obviously, like the shows are taking a big hit, but artists are looking for all kinds of new ways to promote their music, to understand what's working and what's not working and where they should focus their energy. So, do you find that that's like this can be a helpful tool for them? I imagine, right?
Yeah, it's a really traditional industry. So if you go to a average conference, there's going to be a lot of managers that have been around since the 60s or 70s, and those are people that are not even using their computers, and it's they have their own way of working, and they're not keen to a lot of change. So the artist booking process has been the same since William Morris started, which was what 100 years ago. You call up an agent, you agree on a price, you sign a contract, and you book the artist. And but the music consumption has changed a lot since the arrival of iTunes, streaming
Sure.
services. But the entire B2B segment is it's the same. It's like it's stuck somewhere in time, and we want to change that. So we want to change the way artists are discovered, the way they can present themselves. So if you want to pitch yourself as an artist to a label or a club, you can simply send them your Viberate dashboard report, saying, "Look, I'm really my popularity is picking up. I have a lot of fans coming from your country or from interesting markets. My fans are engaging with my content really, really. It's above. The above average. I have the above average engagement, because we benchmark artists against similar artists, and you can see when your content is performing exceptionally well. And this is something that labels and promoters are after. So if you're a label and if you start working with an artist that has a lot of audience, and you know that their audience is engaging with their content, they're listening to their music, they're sharing it across social media, we can pick this up. And this is a nice angle to pitch yourself as an artist.
Yeah, the engagement is key. Like you said, the
Mhm.
sometimes we focus on followers and then those
Yeah,
numbers and
that's not, that's not the most important metric right now.
no, I had an experience years back now. I'd met someone that was taking pictures, and that was kind of like how we got talking. Maybe do some like kind of photos and things, and he checked out my site, emailed me, and I was like, yeah, let's talk, let's work. And he's like, all right, I'm going to put you in our site here, and you'll be on our promotional roster. I was like, okay. The next day I had like 5,000 new followers on Twitter overnight. And I was like, what? Really surprised. And I started clicking on a few of them. And there was one follower, no posts, no tweets. Like every single one of them was bogus. And it just like really upset me because I've been working so hard to build this thing up and, get out there. And then to suddenly have it just like completely tainted, because it just gave the impression that like everything is phony. And when I looked at the other people on his company and started investigating, I was like, these are all these like phony people. They're not real. And it really just damaged the credibility. I told him, you have to get me off the site. I spent like days just deleting like recent Twitter followers just because it was like embarrassing,
Yeah.
But it's unfortunately something you have to watch out for. It's the old like, if it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why we rely on big data, because it's impossible to fool algorithms that work with big data, because enough data in one pile is gonna cancel out fake stuff. So if you look at an artist and if you look at their dashboard and Viberate, you're going to see one really interesting metric is we put the audience growth versus their engagement on the same chart. So we compare it on the same chart, and you can it's easily to spot which artist has a highly engaged audience and the other extreme side, which artist has only fake followers or the majority of fake followers, because the engagement doesn't follow the growth of the database. And this is something that I think that we should put more focus on, because it was just a couple of years back. It was a contest who had more Facebook followers, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It's better to have 1,000 really hardcore fans that are going to share everything for you. They're going to be your ambassadors. I'd rather have 1,000 really active followers than 1 million fake ones.
I think that was Kevin Kelly might have said something along those lines. Is it Kevin Kelly? I forget exactly who, but 1,000 true fans. Like any artist can survive and thrive with 1,000 true fans that will consume everything you do and be enthusiastic.
And not only fans, it's one other interesting metric that we figure out is we look into how many artists are following a certain artist. So we analyze the artist network, and our analytics engine can dig into millions of followers, and it can single out those followers that are also musicians in our database. So this is how we build the entire professional network, and we know how artists are endorsing each other. Usually, take for an example. So let's say you have a rock band and you're playing in your garage. You're putting your stuff on YouTube and just hoping to get discovered, and then all of a sudden you see that Metallica started following you on Twitter because they like your music, and then that means that you got the attention of the big guys. So this is an extreme case. It doesn't go that way. So first you get followed by smaller artists, and you just go up the ladder. But it's really interesting to see how musicians are endorsing each other. And because we know who they are and we know their stats, we can also use that in our calculations. So if you have a lot of artist followers, your popularity profile goes up. So you go up our charts. And we also know which genres they come from. So a lot of course, if you look in the DJ, most of their artist followers are going to DJ as well, but they're going to be musicians or whatever genre. So it's also interesting to analyze this. And sometimes you just get surprised who's following who. So I mentioned Metallica; they're following Lady Gaga on Instagram. This is so not metal, but they had I think they had some kind of collaborations some time ago, and I think that was the reason. But yeah, it's really nice. It's really interesting when you put a huge pile of data into an engine. Interesting stuff is going to come out on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine you must notice some surprising trends. Do you see these things like kind of start happening and bubbling up?
Yeah. We have a pattern that we watch. So we measure we summarize our measurements into three main pillars. So one is music, the other is social, and the third one is the music network, what I just explained. So how artists are following each other. And we see that if you're looking if you want to look for trending artists, so artists who are not already super famous but they're getting there, they're usually going to they're going to be really successful at the music segment, and then social is going to lag, and the network is going to come last. So we had this kind of a traffic light when they have green, yellow, and red light. And usually music is green, social is yellow, and network is red. That means that they started putting out some interesting music and getting fans on streaming services. And now some of the fans are already starting to follow them on other channels, but they haven't been discovered by the big stars. And this is the sweet spot. So this is the moment when you have to pick up your phone and call them if you're an agent or label manager.
So you mentioned it's not just artists on the platform, right? Mm-hmm. You've got venues, festivals, labels, and agents. Now, how does it work from that perspective? How do they use this tool?
So we have like I said, I think over 150,000 labels in our database, and this is all crowdsourced. So again, added by the users, not just scraped from some third-party database. And we try to connect all those entities together, and we try to measure to see how they influence each other. So when we get feeds from Ticketmaster and Eventeam and Eventbrite and all those major ticket providers, we get their event feeds in our system each day. And our algorithms can recognize the names of the artists from the lineup and the names of the venue. And then we match this data together. So we know who's playing where. And we know that if some unknown venue gets a huge artist to play there, that venue's profile is going to go up, and vice versa. So if you're a small artist and you get to play at Madison Square Garden as a warm-up group, it's going to influence your profile on Viberate. So your profiles are going to go up the chart. This is how we connect all the dots together. And yeah, I mean, it's also a nice thing to use if you're a venue owner. You can use your public profile instead of your website because we feature all the information that's necessary, and it's all updated automatically. Or if you're a label, you can use the database to discover new interesting artists. You can analyze your existing roster. So if you put out a new album or a new tour to promote the album, you can follow the metrics, so you can see how this influences the popularity, not just sales. So we're kind of aiming to all music professionals. Plus, yeah, you mentioned festivals. So we also have a festival mobile app. So if you're a festival, you can create your Viberate profile, or maybe if it's already there, you can just simply claim it and it's yours. And then you can create, with a simple tool, you can create your own mobile app. So it's like a mobile leaflet for a festival. And our advantage is that all the content in this app is automatically sourced from Viberate. So we source the information from the artists that are performing there. So you look manually for the releases or tracks or videos or any other content. We just automatically feed it into the app. So your users, the people that are going to go to your festival, can download this app. They can check who's playing where, when they're playing, which stage they're playing on. They can use the chat. They have the map. They can find their tent, even if they get lost. So they can tag it, and the app is going to lead it to them. And it has all kinds of really interesting features. And this is also something. It's like a side project. It's using the Vibrate's database, but it's a complete other. It's a complete different business model. And obviously, right now, it's not the most popular because, again, the festivals are banned, but maybe next year.
Well, what about like some like online music, like live stream concerts or anything? Is that something that
Yeah,
can be integrated?
those are already kind of apps by themselves. So you just go, you have your computer with you when you attend those festivals.
Yeah.
But if you go to Coachella, you have your phone with you. You're not carrying your laptop with you. But and then it's nice to have such an app. It's
It's
just
like
gonna
the map and the all that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
it has everything needed. Those major festivals already have their own apps. But a major pain for each festival promoter, based on the feedback that we got, wasn't purchasing an app or selecting an app provider. The biggest pain was keeping up with the content. Because organizing a festival, it's so much work. We know
Yeah.
because we organize a bunch of them, and you don't have the time and the energy to keep up with the data in your app. So we decided to create an app that's going to update itself. So you just have to let us know who's playing, and we do all the remaining work for you.
Nice, nice. That's always helpful. Yeah, I mean, running any kind of event, it's loaded with unexpected surprises around every
Oh yeah.
corner. Nice. So, you had mentioned like the cryptocurrency. Can I ask you to just tell me a little bit about that? It sounds like something I like about your story is just some of these like unconventional steps you guys took, like knocking on the door of your investors. And, I think that's something that a lot of people would never think to do or just would think would be kind of ridiculous. But like you
Mhm.
said, the hustle is actually appreciated. And I would
Yeah, it
imagine,
is.
if you're investing in something, you want to know that the people you're investing in will hustle. They will work. I mean, that's
Exactly.
that's going to be the make or break thing for any idea. But yeah, maybe I can just ask you to kind of tell me like about that crypto idea. It's an interesting thing I haven't heard before.
So yeah, the like I said, in 2017, the world was witnessing a huge crypto bubble. So people were raising money like crazy, just putting out imaginary
Yeah.
products and services, and people were just throwing money at them. And so a couple of our friends were really early into the entire crypto industry, and they knew a lot about it, and they said, "You guys have the perfect case for crypto." And they said, "There are a bunch of bullshit products that are raising ridiculous amounts of money, and you actually have a product you can show, and you have a really good case for the token. Why don't you raise? You can raise money in Silicon Valley. Why don't you raise it through the ICO? And we can help you with that." So they did, and it was a huge success. And it was a super interesting story. So the database started growing like crazy. People started earning the token by adding new profiles, and they could sell the token on the exchange for real money, and they could buy food for the family. When I say food for the family, I mean that a lot of people from countries with really low income are still working for Viberate. So we have a lot of people from Venezuela because they have a
Yeah.
devastating
The currency is
economic
dropped. Yeah.
yeah, there is much more volatile than crypto.
Hmm.
And they quit their day jobs just to become full-time database curators for Viberate. They're really
Ah.
valuable, and they'll still get paid in crypto. So there was a lot of positive stuff around that time, but the bubble bursted really fast. So it was January 2018. Everything came crashing down. Luckily, we raised our around a couple of months ago, and we just caught it at last minute.
Hmm.
But yeah, now it's picking up the pace again. So we'll see how it goes.
So is that still going then? The
Yeah, and it's still going. Yeah, we still have the token. So I think that we're one of the rare tokens in the music industry that still exists,
Mhm.
and it's traded on some of the biggest exchanges in the world, including Binance, which is the biggest crypto exchange in the world. And so far, we had over $1 billion in trading volume on those exchanges. So it's still quite live, and people are using it, and people are earning it. And now we're implementing the service that will allow you to even spend those tokens directly purchasing Viberate services. So if you're an artist and you won't have the money, you can become a curator, and the tokens that you're going to use by doing the work on the platform, then you'll be able to exchange this for our services, just to buy premium accounts, to check advanced stats, stuff like that.
That is pretty amazing, actually. That well, for one, right? Like, you're not relying on anything automated. It's real people putting in
Mm-hmm.
actual artists. So you're getting like better, I'm sure, better quality content. And just that idea that like a country like Venezuela, whose currency just became worth
It's worthless.
almost
Yeah.
nothing, yeah. And now they have like a currency they can actually use. That's so cool. What a great like side surprise benefit, I would imagine, right? To like,
Yeah.
to
Oh,
unexpected
it
place that you're
was.
helping.
2017 was a crazy year for us. So we got a lot of attention all across the world. And we got a lot of attention in our home country, Slovenia. So it's a really small country. We only have 2 million people. Maybe the most famous Slovenian, if you're into basketball, is Luka Doncic of
Hmm.
Dallas Mavericks. But I would say he's the second most famous Slovenian. Unfortunately, the most famous Slovenian is Melania Trump. So we're not particularly proud of that. But yeah, I mean, it's politics. I'm not going to go into that. So yeah, it's a small country, so the word goes around pretty fast, and all of a sudden we got a call from the prime minister's office.
Really?
So the in Slovenia, prime minister, he has the same powers as the president of the United States. So he is the top political figure
Hmm.
in the country, and he said, why don't you guys come with me to Davos, the World Economic Forum, and we can have a meeting there. You're gonna meet some people. So yeah, we tagged along and we had some fun. And when we came back, we hosted a workshop for cryptocurrencies for the entire government.
Hmm.
So it was quite interesting. So the prime
Wow.
minister came with his entire cabinet and all the security services around it, and we were just giving them lectures about blockchain and cryptocurrencies. So those are some crazy times.
The surprises, right?
Yeah,
Not something you expect to get involved in when you start like a tool for musicians to analyze their growth.
yeah. It was some weird path, but it was really cool and surprising in a way.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's extremely validating for your hard work to find
Yeah,
yourself in that position.
yeah.
Well, that's a really cool story. Have you come across any so you've managed UMEK for quite some time now. I'm curious if your work with all these analytics has like maybe given you new insights as a manager, like new ways of working or maybe new ways of thinking about things.
So yeah, we just introduced Beatport's analytics for Beatport, which is the biggest e-store for electronic music. So all producers and DJs are buying tracks there, and so it's their data can tell you a lot about how a certain electronic artist is popular inside their network. And so what we do now is we also run UMEK's label 1605, which is again one of the top techno labels in the world right now. And so we check the stats of the artists that could be potential candidates for a release, to releasing a track on the label. So UMEK logs into Viberate, and he looks for new artists. He checks their stats. So he sees some new guy on the top 100 chart on Beatport, and he immediately logs into Viberate. He checks their stats to see where they come from, what they've done, how they're performing. It's something that would be impossible to do just by checking their channels, because if you can go to an official YouTube channel of an artist and you're going to see a couple of videos, how many views they have, and that's pretty much it. But on Vibrate, you can also get trends, so you can see how many video plays they got in the last week or last month, which tells you how hot the artist is right now. This is one of the examples how you can use this as a music manager. So it's pretty similar thing if you're running a website or if you're running an advertising agency. When you buy advertising space for a client, what you usually ask for is Google Analytics certificate, so you can check how this page where you want to buy ads is performing. It's the same thing in music. So if you're a label, if you're looking for an artist, you only have to check their analytics dashboard, and you're gonna figure out if they're gonna be a good deal or not. And it's another thing is that if you're an agent, then you get pitched for your artist to play at a certain venue. You can also check that venue's profile, so you can see who played there in the past. Because this is something that agents usually ask. So if you ask for a particular artist, the agent is going to send you back a form you have to fill out. And one of the most important questions is, who are the artists that you already booked for that venue? And people are just going to make shit up. And back then it was impossible to check that. But our database is fed, our event database is fed directly from ticket providers. So that information is verified. And you can check the venue profile and you see who played there. And that's verified by Ticketmaster and other ticket providers. So it's again easier. We make an easier job for you if you're an agent. So you don't have to rely and trust the promoter that you never heard of.
Right.
You just check the venue and see.
So you're cutting a lot of the BS out of this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's 10 years of experience, and trust me, you hear all kinds of weird stuff, and people just straight up lying to you. Wow. Yeah. And it depends from country to country.
Yeah.
There are some specific countries that you have to take extra care when dealing with your artists and promoters from those countries. Right.
Yeah. I've heard some funny, questionable stories from venues or promoters. Especially with like new bands, like that are just starting. There's a lot of like promotions that are these types of things where you basically have to pay to play. You have to like buy all the tickets yourself and then sell them, and they'll tell you things like, we had Pantera on this stage. And like, you're like, really? This like dive bar, like in nowhere,
Yeah.
Long Island, New York? It's like, I'm not so sure that's true, but it would be nice to be able to just fact check that sometimes, those little things though, just so you kind of get an idea of what you're getting into, you know, especially booking
Yeah,
tours.
exactly.
This must be like really helpful when you're an artist, manager too, but like you're trying to book your tour and you don't really know where you're going a lot of times. You're learning about the venues as you research, and anyone can put anything on their webpage about what they are.
Yeah, yeah, that's extremely helpful. And yeah, I've been touring with UMEK a lot, and we've been through some interesting times and interesting stories and situations. Yeah, you learn a lot from this, and we just try to solve our own pains that we experienced and when working as managers.
Right. Yeah. So this is a product out of the various surprises that have come along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what do you see for like the future? Well, let me ask you this. W- I guess like in the time we're in, like unfortunately, it seems like our live shows are not coming back anytime soon. As like every time I turn on the news, it sounds like things are going up and COVID cases and all of that. Does that affect you in the direction of the company? Any thoughts about any innovations or changes or just
Well, not right now because we try to maintain focus. So we're right now we're just doing some additional features for the analytics platform, and we're just focusing full on sales. And we're gonna start raising our next financing round summer next year. It's again the worst time in history even for raising funds because VCs are just trying to solve their existing portfolios. They're not looking for any additional investments usually.
yeah.
So yeah, it's been quite hard on us. But yeah, I think that by this summer when the vaccine is introduced, the festivals are going to be back. And one good thing out of this entire pandemic is that even the most traditional industries learned a lot about IT solutions right now. So everyone is online now. You have some old tradition. You have grocery stores that just open up e-stores, and they have been around since the 60s. The owners are old and they don't even have the computer, and now they're forced to go online to learn how to do e-commerce. And the same thing is in music. So people are even if they were reluctant to adopt any new technologies, they got forced right now to start using stuff, and it's just free education. It's the best education you can get.
Yeah. Yeah, that just get thrown in the fire, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 That's one way you'll figure it out. Well, it's good that people will be able to kind of see like where their efforts are going and what's paying off, what's working out, and what's not. Because I'm sure you can use this to just determine if like the stuff you're doing online is actually worth the effort and where to focus.
Yeah. It's if you decide to hire a social media manager or a press agency, they're gonna pitch themselves as the best in the world, and they're gonna say, yeah, we're gonna make sure that your audience is engaging with your content, and you can just check them. So you can say, okay, this is before I started working with you, and this is now. So whether there's a huge change or your engagement is going to go up, you're going to continue working with them. But if they don't do anything, you have the numbers to prove it. So you can say, look, you promised that you're gonna keep my engagement up. You're gonna get more followers, but this is I can show you with numbers. I can prove you with charts that this is not true. So you didn't do a good job.
Right. That's a nice thing to have because there are a lot of people out there. The
Oh
music
yeah.
music industry and the history of like rock and roll and everything is littered with stories of people getting cheated by managers and bad management throughout.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of cool that you come from that position too, so you kind of know some of the games, like you've been through it and seen it happen.
Yeah, we learn it hard.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that sounds really cool. Where do you like to send people? We just vibrate.com. Is that the best place for people to
Yeah, it's
go check?
vibrate.com.
And
Yeah,
that's
yeah. So
spelled
we just introduced. It goes both ways. So the original
okay.
is spelled Viberate with an extra e because we're rating the vibe.
Hmm.
But we also purchased the correctly spelled domain. So vibrate.com is also going to take you to the right place. And we have a free account so you can test out the platform. So the public platform is free for all. So you can check the public profiles. But if you want to check the stats, the analytics behind those profiles, then you have to log in, you have to register an account. And we have a free account that's going to allow you to test out the service. You'll see top 50 artists, their full dashboards. And if you want to find more, then you have to purchase the account.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I think it's nice to know, just what's happening with your work. You're putting in enough time. If you're dedicated and you're trying to make things happen, it's nice to know what is happening. And it is a really hard thing to like kind of get your head around. I think I know it is for me. Like figuring out what's happening with any of the things I do. Unless it's nice that it would come into this one place like that, give you the big picture.
Yeah. It's you usually invest a lot of money and time into your career, and it's a waste of both resources if you don't know if it's how it's working out. So that's why we said, okay, if you pay us $50 per month, we're gonna tell you. If so, you pay 500 per month for advertising, for putting tracks out, for traveling or whatever, and so 10% of that goes into analytics, so you can figure out whether those $500 were invested wisely or not, and you can just see what's effective and what's not, and you can just then redistribute your funds into what channels are performing exceptionally well, and you can just leave the channels that are not hot anymore. And this is also something that we spotted through time. So we spotted a huge shift right after Facebook purchased Instagram. So there was a huge shift from artists going away from Facebook and started focusing on Instagram. And now Instagram is by far more popular than Facebook for musicians. So
Really?
it doesn't. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
if you delete your Facebook page, you're not gonna lose a lot. But if you stop with your Instagram, then you're gonna lose a lot of fans and a lot of engagement.
Well, I tell you what, I spend less and less time on my Facebook page. I get daily just messages of nonsense on there.
Exactly.
They're
Yeah.
everyone is going to make me rich, and it's just I have an autoresponder on my Facebook that says if you want to talk, just send me an email, because
Yeah.
it's
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 back to email.
it had become too much of a chore. Like every day I'm just going through this, and I found myself all I'm doing is throwing out garbage on this page. So,
Mhm.
but Instagram is still, for the most, you get a few people that are offering you, whether it's business deals or sexual exploits on Instagram. There's still some nonsense too, but I do find it to be a little more person to person.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Do you find any particular platform on the rise that maybe people should be looking into?
Well, right now, what we notice is it's nothing new, but TikTok is really picking up. So we started gathering information for TikTok as well. We don't include it into our metrics just yet because it takes time for enough info. We have to pick up enough data to start including it into our calculations. So right now we're just collecting profiles. We're looking into what kind of information to use, how to use it in our stats. We're going to introduce it sometime next year. But yeah, those I say millennial platforms.
Yeah.
The platforms we're too old to understand.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are really picking up. So it pays off to just maybe ask your kids if you're too
Yeah.
old
Yeah. Pay
just to
attention.
teach you.
Pay attention what the kids are playing with.
Yeah,
Ask Fleetwood Mac.
exactly.
They are back on the top 10. I just saw an article today. They're back on the Billboard top 10 with Dreams because of TikTok, because of that the video
Yeah,
of the bike riding,
yeah,
drinking. That's
yeah.
incredible though. Like that.
It's just weird, but
It's
it works. Yeah.
yeah, it's like so unheard of like a song that's, man, how old is that song now? Like it's got to be 40 years. And it's back on the charts. It's amazing.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see how those huge networks that you still think that are dominating the world are actually not dominating it as much as we think. So I was from the top of my mind, I would say that yeah, you have to have a Facebook page. But now we see that it's there, and if you pay a lot of money to Facebook, then it's going to be effective.
Yeah.
But you have other channels that don't request money from you all the time, and they can be much more effective, much more personal, and they just come and go. So MySpace, a couple of years ago, we thought that it's gonna be here forever, and now no one uses it anymore. It still exists. So they're just paying for servers. I
Yeah.
don't know who's there. And the same thing was with Google. What was the Google Plus with those
Yes.
circles?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I remember that.
yeah, we actually started measuring it, but we left it altogether because it would just you couldn't get any kind of useful information from it.
Oh, I guess this might give you some insight into like what's happening and what's going on, what people are using and engaging with.
Google's information or
No,
what?
no, I mean like you might be able to see like which networks, which apps, which social media platforms
Yeah.
are buzzing
So
at the time.
we actually have pretty precise metrics for that. So we have special pages for where we analyze countries. So we're not analyzing artists as an entity, but countries as an entity. So we will tell you how many artists there are in a certain country, which genres they play, which are the prevailing genres for the event from their country, and we also do the same thing for genres. So you can have we have a dedicated page for genres, so you can have a dedicated stats for rock music. If you're interested in rock music, you have whole stats, like aggregated stats for rock music. How many musicians, how many events across the world, which countries prefer that genre. And we also have the channels that are the most popular for that genre. So if you're a rock musician, you can go check whether it's better to look for fans on Twitter or maybe focus on Spotify or YouTube. So we have that aggregated as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, like if you're a rock musician, like maybe don't go on TikTok or don't go on this one and spend your
Yeah.
energy here. I'm sure that makes a
Yeah.
difference.
If
I mean, there must be like maybe like a genre that's popular with like an older generation isn't going to see much action on the more younger platforms, but
yeah.
vice versa. Maybe the pop music and whatever's hot is like all over the place on whatever the kids are using next year. And
Yeah, the kids will just say, "Who's that? That Queen band that works with Adam Lambert, not
yeah,
vice versa."
right. That's pretty funny. It sounds really cool. I'm excited to check it out myself, and I think you know everyone should give it a shot. Get the free trial, and it might make a big difference. And there's only so many hours in a day to put your efforts into your work, and it's good to know that your efforts are paying off.
Yeah, that's the pitch.
Right. Cool. So yeah, everyone, head over to viberate.com, whether you spell that with an E in the middle or not. It doesn't seem to matter. And find out what's going on with yourself as an artist across the internet. So, Vasja, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us and share this.
You're welcome.
And yeah, everyone check out viberate.com and have a great day. If you liked what you heard, please consider leaving a review wherever you get your podcasts.